So prepping the Welte keys has been a lot of work, continues to be. Keys have been bushed, front and balance, and key pins replaced. The balance pins are a couple of thousandths bigger in diameter, but in spite of that, there is severe backchucking. I've been through with a solution that is mostly water and just a little bit of hot hide glue, with the idea that the water swells the wood back to a facsimile of where it was originally, and then the bit of glue, as the hole dries, reinforces the area, is my hope. And I've been through most of the keys, with the exception of 6 or 8, had backchucking from noticeable to severe. And the first round eliminated the backchucking for all but about a dozen. And the second round eliminated all but these 3 keys. And this one I have treated again, and these 2 at the ends, I'm about to. So just to show you. I'm going to thoroughly soak, particularly in that direction, in this direction, but it turns out that really the entire hole gets as soaked as possible. And I'm going to show you on this one where there's the black residue from the first person, but this last round of soaking has extended the dampness. One of the beautiful things about hot hide glue is that it melts with, this solution is heated, by the way. That's an old coffee maker turned into a hot plate, and with a piece of I forget how I did this, but it's a pan cut off, so it's the bottom layers of a 3-layer pan bottom to retain heat. And I can put coals on this if I need to heat them up. But anyway, this is the 3rd round of my work, and it has improved each time, which is hopeful. And then I have to do my regulation, which includes more key leveling and the way off, and so there's a likelihood that I'll have to do another round at the end. But the good news is that the hot water warms up the glue and allows additional swelling and maybe additional reinforcement because of the small amount of glue that I'm bringing in. So there is another aspect of this that maybe has been part of the cause of why the balance holes are so stretched in some cases. This is a healthy balance hole's thickness in the bottom of the key. So I place this on a flat surface. This bottoms out on the surface that the key is sitting, and then there are little blades that can remove material so that this little end becomes the thickness of the balance hole. Well, if you can see in camera, oh gosh, I don't know if you've even been able to see what I was doing, but sorry about that. But this has a good extra 1/8 of an inch, which I'm going to take all the keys off and make them all the same depth. But I'm not going to do it to these until they're dry. A grand action is very sensitive to friction, and particularly in the keys. And an indication of this is when you go to weigh off, and I've been doing sample weigh-offs on these keys with the new parts to tweak the geometry of the parts into their best disposition, because they are of a different style from the ones that were originally here. And although the previous parts worked great, they were in need of rebuilding and repinning, and it was just more expensive to do that, with some disadvantages at the end that the parts are still 100 years old. So anyway, I replaced the parts with W&G shanks and whippings, and installed new hammers. But anyway, back to the keys. I am now going through, having used the heated coal method, I'm now going through with pliers, and we'll see how permanent that is in the coming days. It was quite evident that the keys that fit freely tested in their way off with nice healthy symptoms. And the neighboring key that had more friction in it responded to the same balance weight, but with very little motion. Okay, I'm going to turn our attention now, having looked at that scene for a long time, and just show you a little bit of the easing that I'm doing. So at the top of the pen, at the top of its travel, there's just a little bit of side to side, and you need to have a symptom of side to side. But at the bottom of the travel, it's just a little bit too snug. So this is a very conservative easing, and I get a little tap tap at the bottom. And checking the balance, that balance is fine. These I've already done it. I've done the sharps at the front already, but I can feel the balance hole is free. I've eliminated the back chucking, so really it's perfect if it will just stay that way. But I can feel the bushing as it goes over the pin, and that is too tight. So I'm doing one side first, consistently throughout, and if I have to do another round, so that just drops now. I cannot feel it enter. But it's not sloppy, but it's a fine line to get it just enough, a thousandth of play or so. And this is done by trial and error and developing the skill to do just enough and not go too far. There's likely to be a little bounce back. Manual easing is wood can recover from that. I mean, it depends on what we're squeezing. If it's essentially glue suspending the bushing out from the inside, and you go like this, and it goes, you hear a little sound, that will just be permanent. And you know, you can easily go too far if that's the case. These bushings, that is not the problem. So I'm pressing on the keys fairly firmly as I'm doing this, because you can't put material back in. You don't want to go too far. But this will definitely not go further than the steel plate. So, and I will take this over to where my compressed air will reach and clean out the holes.